Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecture writer, and historian. So it is Monday, December 4th, 2023, and I'm here with a very special guest who's no stranger to the African History Network show, Sista Nubia Wardford, who's an archaeologist from here in Detroit. Hotep, Sista Nubia, how you doing today?
Hotep, I'm doing just fine tonight. Thank you for having me.
All right, excellent, excellent. Well, we wanted to have Sister Nubia back. She has a new online class that starts up Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, dealing with iconography and rituals, African symbols and rituals within Christianity. I've seen one of the sister's presentations in person dealing with the African influence on Christianity and the iconography, etc. Her presentation is fantastic. If you're not familiar with Sister Nubia, very quickly, Sister Nubia Wardford is an archaeologist that studies ancient Kush. She is a cultural scientist who takes a holistic approach to studying the past. She incorporates history, excavations, past research, and comparisons to present day traditional cultures within existing ethnic groups in the area of study. And Sister Nubia it's a master's of arts in archaeology that you have.
Yes, I have
Okay.
a master's. I have a master's in historical archaeology and bachelor's in anthropology, and working on
Okay.
my
And
PhD in ancient Kushite research.
absolutely, absolutely. All right. So, Sister Nubia, tell us about this class that you have starting up Wednesday, December 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is going to be an online class, correct?
It's going to be an online class. We'll be zooming,
Okay.
um, a Zoom class, and it will be African iconography. It'll be iconography and ritual in African symbols in ritual within Christianity. It's going to be a packed class, just sharing what symbols have been, lack of a better word, borrowed into the Christian religion, in the ritual and the service, even the way the churches are built. That is built on African symbols in spiritual systems.
Really? Okay. And I've studied some of this history myself. And, one of our mutual friends, Tony Browder, deals with this type of information, like in Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. So, explain to people, there's so many misconceptions, so many misinformation out dealing with Christianity, dealing with African history, people not understanding the African influence on Christianity. So, give us some insight into this topic. Give people a preview of what they're in store for in this class.
Well, we're gonna start with one of the basic chants, or what people say after a prayer, affirmation, which is Amen. We're going to
Hmm.
talk about where Amen came from. The Amen it came from Sudan, where that spiritual system came from. We're going to talk about the symbols on the church, the steeple, which represents many different things, the different trees that were once forested along the Nile River, and
Right.
we'll talk about the outfit of the Pope. We'll talk about the ritual, the Easter ritual, which was embedded with so many different African symbols. We'll talk the story of Osset Heru and Osir, which we'll
Right.
talk about that. We'll talk about many other things that just lets people understand that the origins of this history of the church is just founded on African spiritual systems, and it has been borrowed by the usurpers of those different regions, in order that the people not see themselves within the religion and see other people within the religion. And the spiritual system is still the same. It's still the same, actually. It's just they've changed
Right.
the face of it.
Okay, so let's for now, whenever I do, whenever I speak, and you've heard me say this before, and I know I may say some things that are outside the circumference of people's awareness, and I learned this from one of my teachers, Dr. Ray Hagins. You know, I usually I usually tell people just because you know everything that you know about what you know does not mean you know everything there is to know about what you know. There's still things that exist outside the circumference of your own awareness. And I've studied the history of Christmas, the origins of Christmas, the connections between Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus, Heru being born on December 25th. I've read Christianity Before Christ by Dr. John G. Jackson, The World's 16 Crucified Saviors by Kersey Graves. So when we look at this type of information and we understand the origin, the source, the original, we can see where the influences, the influences that make up the influences in Christianity, we can see how those relate directly to Africa. We know that Christmas is coming up, okay, and December 25th. So talk a little bit about the connection between Christmas, December 25th, the celebration, and like ancient Kemet, Asar, Aset, and Heru, whatever influence you want to deal with.
Okay, well, I'll just take it from the Santa Claus aspect.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Santa
Center class. Yep.
Claus, Santa Claus is able to do a magic thing. He goes all over the world within an hour, and clocks that happen, all over the world by midnight. He is able to come and go. Well, that goes back to being able to manipulate time. That he's Father Time. Even his name,
Mm-hmm.
Kris Kringle, a crest and a kringle are navigation tools from a ship. So he takes his sky ship, his sleigh, and he's manipulate time. And that's where we get the nick of time and Saint Nicholas, because it's actually a seer who's able to manipulate time. And even Heru, the birth of, some people say it's the birth of Heru. Some people say it's the birth of Osiris that is being celebrated at that time of year. So these are ancient spiritual traditions that have been altered through time. And so we take a look at this day, which is a very special day. It's one of the longest nights of the year, where
Mm-hmm.
Osiris is able, or Kris Kringle, or Crest Kringle, or Santa Claus is able to take his sleigh and manipulate time in that
Right.
way. So it really, there's a lot of different dimensions to it as well.
Yeah, so December 25th, dealing with the astronomy, you're dealing with
Yeah,
coming out of the winter solstice. On
yeah,
December 20th, December 21st, the sun moves into its lowest point in this annual movement throughout the constellations, and it moves. And then December 22nd, 23rd, 24th, you have the sun appears not to move. The sun appears to be dead. This is what solstice
yeah.
means. So sun stands still, solstice. And then December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree northward on its annual ascent. And December 25th marks the first day of an increased amount of sunlight. In each additional day, you have more and more sunlight. So in ancient times, this was said to be the birth date of the Son of God, or the SUN, or the Sun, not the SON, but the SUN. So when we look at through different cultures, and we look at their celebrations around that period of time, we look at figures, mythological figures, or what have you. Some people call them crucified saviors. Their birth dates are on or around December 25th. So when you start understanding history and how history influences cultures, etc., and cultures influence mythology, then you start seeing where all this comes from, and it starts. And I think studying this type of information cuts down on a whole lot of arguments that people have. Okay, arguments over this religion, that religion, or Christians, some Christians, not all of them, some Christians saying that African stuff is heathen and things like that, right? It's like, wait a second, if you study
Well,
what all this, go ahead.
it's going to be that.
Go ahead.
There's going to be that, Michael. There's going to be that said because it's so different from the information that people are used to receiving about this time of year. So people are going to come back with that because they're steeped in their belief systems.
Mm.
This is based on historical fact.
Right.
I'm not trying to take away people's spiritual systems or belief systems.
Right.
This is just historical fact.
Well, yeah, and you know, I explain to people, like, you have some people who may become so conscious they want to throw away the Bible, things like that, and I say no. I can draw a direct connection between the Helios Biblos, the Sun Book, and stories in it, and take you right back to ancient Africa, and we can see the influence. You know, we can see where these stories come from. Okay, and it also deals with mythology. It also deals with astronomy as well, which you're going to get into in the class. Now, you mentioned Amen. You mentioned Amen, and at the end of Christian prayers, people say Amen. You don't have to go. I don't want you. You don't have to go deep into this, but just give people some insight into Amen and where it comes from, because we're taught these things in church. I was taught it when I went to Catholic church when I was a child in Catholic school, but we don't know oftentimes we don't know the African origins of things that we see in Christianity.
Well, at different points in time, people were figures or different deities represented the Most High. At one point in time, Amen, who was seen as the Most High.
Right.
When you say Amen at the end of the prayer, you are venerating Amen or Amen Ra.
Right.
Amen, excuse me, was a deity that lived on top of the sacred mount or the sacred mountain, Jebel Bar in ancient Sudan, or Tua in ancient Sudan, which goes into something different. You know what I mean? We talk about the whole word Tua and all that kind of thing, but that entity is the one that has been borrowed with Amen, Amin, Amen, the country Yemen. You know, not only all of the religious people use a form of Amen to end their sacred phrases, and it comes from prehistoric times. Actually, it comes from before 10,000 BC, when we know that people were venerating by the iconography and the symbols and what they left behind. And this is prehistoric.
Right.
And we also know that rolled into Amen is at another time it went to Ra. So it was Amen and Ra. Ra is the son, the first son that was birthed from that was birthed before there was light, and who birthed the son was the Most High Nit, who created the universe and created the stars all around her and created the planets and sieved that into existence. And that's where we get knit or kneading or net, which comes from the word neat or knit, which is the most ancient Most High that was actually represented in the form of a woman. Through with this history, starting with her venerating Osset, who in the original Holy Trinity, or the most ancient Holy Trinity that we know of, was Set, which is Isis. More people are more familiar with Isis. Osir, Osiris, and Heru, which is Horus, which would be the Immaculate Conception. Immaculate Conception meaning the first, the clean born, meaning that she had one man, not meaning that she birthed a child out of the ethers. It means that she had one man, and it was immaculate, a clean birth, which means that basically that she knew, because she had only dealt with the one man, that was her child. What's so important about that is before, there was a time when the child belonged to the community, so it didn't really matter who the child's father was, and that was the cultures that existed before, that time, before time we're able to recollect it.
Right.
And we know that from the oral history. We also know that from in ancient Egypt, people weren't concerned about being married. The people that were concerned about being married were the royals, because the royal bloodlines, got intact, and understand that this lineage had to have certain bloodlines. But the people, the
Right.
community,
To sit on the
actually,
throne, things like, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
they just had to do with the throne. But the people, the community, when a woman had a child, it belonged to the community, even in ancient Egypt. And births were divine, and they were done outdoors, and all kinds of things. So many of these things are rolled into Christianity. And to go back um, to Isis, or Osir,
Hmm.
she becomes really venerated as the Holy Mother. And
Right.
we call her name is Mary, which means the beloved, which becomes from the beloved land, which is Tarmary. And then Tarmary,
Right.
somehow, the Holy Mother, which gets separated in the Catholic Church, that does not worship Jesus, they worship the Holy Mother, because the Holy Mother is the Most High to them, the Catholic Church, which represents Isis, Aset, Neat, Sechet, and many other, is rolled into one. And we'll talk about how Paris means house of Isis. We'll talk
Right.
about, how the Vatican, was built upon a church that venerated Osir and Aset, and the Immaculate Conception. The story of, we see the Tekken, or the
Yes.
Washington Monument there, which is a copy of the Tekkens, or the obelisk, that were in ancient Egypt. And and this is representative of the male organ, of the phallic symbol, in
Right.
which, Aset created. She built herself. She actually recreated, because she couldn't find that member, and she conceived a divine child,
Yes.
that was born. And this is where this story comes from. So we'll go into detail, and show people that. Will show, the Amin's home. Will show, uh, the similarities with Saint Nicholas and Saint Nick, Osiris. We'll go through, and we'll look at symbols of the Catholic Church. We also will talk about the rituals of Neat, the coming of the light,
Hmm.
ceremony, which venerates Neat, it was a very ancient ceremony. The clothing of, the Pope, which is, pharaonic clothing, and more,
Right.
and more.
Now, tell people when the class begins and how they can register for the class.
The class begins on December 13th. December 13th, it is a 2-day class for 2 hours, December 13th and December 14th, Wednesday and Thursday, from 7 p.m. EST to 9 p.m. EST. And people can email me at NWARD, F as in Frank, ORD, at hotmail.com, and just put symbols, so I know that you're interested in the class. And the cost of the class is just a donation of $39 for the 2 days.
Okay.
I'll be doing classes every couple of months, and I want to make sure that everybody who wants to join the class can join the class. So, want to make it very affordable for everybody. And we also we'll have discussion times. That's 2 hours, but we'll have hour and a half of class, 30 minutes of discussion, so people are able to discuss, and people are able to get more details on things. We'll also have resources to recommend. Just don't take it from, what Sister Nubia. We'll also, just like
Right.
Michael named those resources at the beginning, will have resources where you can look up the information as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, proper documentation ends all conversation, as I say. So, you know, like when I do my lectures, I teach my information is thoroughly documented. Um, when so who should take this class? Should it be for people who attend church? Should it be for uh, uh, people who are African centered? Who should attend this class?
People who want to know historical facts.
Historical fact.
Historical facts. Um, you could be a member of a church. You could be a student. Anybody at this class, anybody 16 and above.
Okay.
Various details. Um, I don't say 18 because a lot of people start studying historical facts a lot earlier than that. At least I did. I started historical facts at 7 years old,
Right.
unbeknownst to my parents. Now I would ask some questions that they would kind of raise their eyebrows and say, "Where did you get that from?" I said, "Well, I was
Right.
just in the library and I this, that, and the other." So, which they had me going to the library every Saturday with my sister, and I read and say what I had to read. I would just walk around the library and read different things, and they would always ask me, "Where did you get that?" And I said, "In a book in the library, Mom." And so,
Right.
we want people to be open minded. This is again this is based on fact. This doesn't have anything to do with belief systems. Everybody's going to believe whatever they're going to believe. This is just based on historical fact, and I just want to be this information out there to share, especially this time of year. This question often comes up. It comes
Right.
up in the classes that I teach. It comes up this time of year. People start posting a lot of erroneous information. And so I
Hmm.
just want to some facts for people so we can jump off of that.
So just curious, this time of year, what questions pop up? What questions do people, what are just a few of the questions that people pose to you like this time of the year?
This time of the year, a lot of people say, well, who was birthed December 25th? Why is
Okay.
December 25th chosen as the holiest of the holy days, right?
Hmm.
What does Santa Claus have to do with Christmas? What
Hmm.
does, the same questions come up just about every year. What is special about this day? And you definitely explained it very clearly, that there's an, that this that how can I say this and not give away the whole class, Michael, here? But what I want to share is that the hold of spiritual systems is based on a lot of astronomy, a lot
Oh yeah,
having to do with astronomy,
absolutely.
a lot
Absolutely.
having to do with the sciences of the movement of the earth and
Hmm.
the stars and what people believe is out there beyond this, concepts of heaven, concepts of, all of those are wrapped around our religious belief and our spiritual beliefs in this time of year when this happens to be thought of as one of the holiest day. These questions come up from people. I mean, people
Right.
are asking, they're seeking, and they want to. They why are we doing all this time of year? What is so special about it? And the questions come up, and people post a lot of erroneous things, about this day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just put it, you know,
Right. And I see memes popping up with no historical sources cited. I see,
right.
and I'll go on people's posts and ask, okay, where did you get this information from? What sources are you citing? Okay, because I ask those questions because my teachers taught me to ask those questions, and I know when people are just passing off erroneous nonsense as well. So we have, especially in the age of social media, we have to dig deeper and do our research, do our due diligence. Okay, so once again, everybody, this is Sister Nubia Wardford. She has a class starting up, a 2-day class, Wednesday, December 13th, Thursday, December 14th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Iconography and rituals, African symbols and rituals within Christianity. It's a great class to take this time of the year. It's just a 4-hour class. Email her at nwardford@hotmail.com. Wardford, WARDFORD @hotmail.com. And you can put, you said, what'd you say, put in the subject line?
Symbols.
Symbol. Okay, symbols in the subject line. It's just curious, in your classes, do you reference a symbols dictionary or encyclopedia, anything like that? I was just curious.
I do Webster's dictionary sometimes, but
Okay.
I do the old Webster's dictionary.
Okay.
You know, they have all of things of that have been seen now as politically incorrect and all that kind of thing, because it really explains the original ideas behind things. And I also try to do languages. We also will talk about the Ethiopian systems as well, and how
Okay.
how it relates to their belief systems, which has been proven to go back. You know, Tia, which is in Ethiopia, that site is at least 20,000 years old, and that venerates a female Most High as well. So
which site is
you
that?
know, we'll try to.
Which site is that?
Tia, TIYA, and it is a calendar that is seen, one of those astrological calendars that has monoliths, and it points to star systems. And so we know that they were recognizing. Tia could also be assumed to be representing Nut as well, but that's where it is in Tia. And we will talk about the archaeological site that I was on, that venerates Set, and how the rare finds on that site tell about how the Africans in that area saw themselves, and they saw their spiritual systems. It's often said that the people in ancient Nubia and mimicked the Egyptian system, but in some cases it was the other way around, because ancient Kush was older.
Yeah,
So that it
absolutely.
started there. You know, it started in ancient Sudan. It came to the pinnacle, we could say, to its highest order in Egypt, and then they reclaimed it in the 25th dynasty with Taharka. So, you know, that's, you
The
know, kind
Nubians
of,
reclaimed it.
and then in the 26th, in the 26th dynasty, we actually see a Sankofa symbol that that Browder actually see that heart. So what is that telling us? Exactly what I said, that they came back around to the source. And so they, you know, they realized that. And so, and there we have the proof. You know, thank God for Tony Browder. That tiny fact that he brought connects West Africa directly with ancient Kemet, without a doubt. And I bet you most scholars on the planet Earth do not respect that, because Anthony Browder is not seen in academia as an archaeologist. So he just really needs some help. You know, hopefully the Leader Institute will embrace what he has found, since that institute is based on Nubian study, and and give him as much respect as possible for finding out this. So we have a lot that we can approach in this class. The fact that it's only 4 hours, we are limited by 4 hours, but we'll
Right.
touch on as many aspects as possible.
Well, I just had Anthony Browder here on the show back in April 2023, and we were dealing with the importance of Nile Valley civilization and history. So Browder is brilliant. I need to get him back on the show to talk about the Sankofa symbol. But we know that Africans migrated from the Nile Valley region of Africa into Central Africa into West Africa, and as Africans migrate,
Yes,
they take their culture with them. They don't forget it. They take their culture with them as
that's
well.
right.
We know that the Dogon originally come from the Nile Valley region of Africa, especially the ancient Kemet. Dr. David Imhotep has talked about this before. We know he recently passed away, recently became an ancestor, but also the Yoruba as well. We know come from the Nile Valley region of Africa. And you've had scholars, whether you talk about Dr. Shankata Diop or Diop, or you have other scholars who are linguists that show the connection between cultures in the Nile Valley region of Africa as well as West Africa as well. What now? This is an online class. What format or platform will this class be taught on? Just so people know.
It'll be taught on Zoom, and
Okay.
the class, and so we can have, I think, up to 500 students. I would love to
Okay.
have a class of 500, but
Right.
we're gonna really just take this little by little and
Mm-hmm.
have time for discussion in like we'll do 2 segments per class, and we'll have time for discussion, because I really think, it's not all about me sharing and talking. It's also about the perspective of the students. The
Right.
most brilliant professors got that way from conversations with their students.
Yeah, it's about sharing and having that exchange, having that dialogue also about the subject matter.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, everybody, you can register for this class. Email Sister Nubia Wardford at nwardford@hotmail.com. You could put symbols in the subject line. And this class is um, Wednesday, December 13th, and Thursday, December 14th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So you are going to learn a lot in this class. And this is a good time of the year also to study this type of information, because so many people will be talking about Christmas, talking about December 25th, things like that. And a lot of times people, when I deal with, I've studied the whole history of Christmas. I've done extensive lectures dealing with this, and I talk about how we're taught all these things when we're children, and we repeat it when we're adults, but most of us are never going to research this history at all either, and where this all comes from. So something like this is extremely important. Okay, any last words before we get out of here, Sister Nubia?
Just, I just hope that we approach this class in the most respectful manner as possible. We'll be talking about historical facts again, and join the class December 13th and 14th. You are all welcome. And if you have questions, I will do my best to address them. And I love the discussion. Please come and be ready for discussion points, and it's going to be a very lively class.
Okay. All right. Excellent. And just curious now, would the class be archived at all if people miss part of it, anything like that? Can they go back and watch a replay?
We will definitely record the class.
Okay.
It possibly could be used by students that register are able to make one of the days of the class, and we can well.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, look, Sister Nubia, It's great to talk to you again. And, Kwanzaa is coming up, so I'll see you soon at Kwanzaa celebrations.
Yeah.
Also, everybody register for a class. You're going to learn a lot. All right, sister. Peace. Hotep. Thanks for coming on today. Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. All right. Peace. All right, everybody. That was Sister Nubia Wardford. Be sure to follow us here at the African History Network. My Facebook fan page, the African History Network, Michael M. Hotep, on YouTube and Instagram. And visit our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can follow us there. And also, I was going to broadcast the African History Network show Sunday night, but I was tired. I'm juggling a lot and juggling my work schedule, so I was tired. I didn't do that, but I knew I was coming on today with Sister Nubia Wardford, and we'll probably broadcast tomorrow, probably broadcast Tuesday. So we got a lot of new stories. You see some of my broadcasts. I posted some clips in the past couple of days of me on Roland Martin Unfiltered when I was on Roland's show Friday, December 1st, 2023. I'm on every Friday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're getting those clips out. And I'm trying to broadcast Tuesday evening. It probably, 8 o'clock, something like that, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to start back with the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to start back with that this Sunday, December 10th, 2023. So people have been asking when you're going to start back broadcasting live. I just finished teaching one of my online classes, just wrapped up this Saturday. In the second class that I teach, Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. That class resumes this Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so we have information at our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com about that. And we're going to start back with the African History Network show on Sunday night. I got a bunch of topics already lined up. I'm just putting together the information for them. And one of the main topics I want to discuss is dealing with how African-American churches in Florida are starting to teach Black history classes as a direct result of the Florida Department of Education's new social studies standards. And part of their social studies standards are teaching that African Americans benefited from slavery. Now, many people have seen information about this. You've seen broadcasts that I've done dealing with this as well. But there's a good article from the Washington Post that deals with this. And I've looked at a number of different sources. I watched some videos with the different pastors, but this is just one article right here from the Washington Post that deals with this. Florida, after Florida restricts Black history, churches step up to teach it. After Florida restricts Black history, churches step up to teach it. And this is from September 24, 2023, Brittany Shamus for the Washington Post. And it talks about how African Americans in Florida but across the country, but especially in Florida, are furious at what the Florida Department of Education is doing. And they're talking about the suppression of the teaching of African American history and why it's important, not just for African Americans to understand this history, but Americans in general. Okay. As a new school year started, the Reverend Gaston Smith was standing at the pulpit with a lesson on one of those chapters. After months of controversy over new directives governing classroom instruction in Florida, changes that critics said sanitized or even distorted the past, He and other Black pastors across the state of Florida agreed their churches had no choice but to respond. This pastor, Reverend Gaston Smith, and other African American pastors across the state of Florida agreed that their churches had no choice but to respond. They would teach Black history themselves. And this is something that I said had to happen when I was on Faraji Muhammad's show. I talked about this. I talked about this on the African History Network show. And I said that what has to happen is that churches, African American churches, all types of various organizations, community organizations, need to take that curriculum that the advanced placement African American history course for high school students that they put together over 200 pages. Take that curriculum and teach that in African American churches, teach that in recreation centers, after school programs, to combat against what the state of Florida is doing, but also other states that have adopted these anti-critical race theory laws. Okay, so these African American churches are doing that. This is something I said has to happen. We cannot rely upon white people to teach us our history. Okay, even though the history of African Americans has to be taught in every school across the country, we have to take the responsibility to teach that history in our communities. And that the AP course, the AP African American Studies course is online, okay? And you can download it for free. So we don't have to get permission from people to do this, okay? We just have to do this. All right. So look, we're going to get out of here. Visit our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for my online courses. You can also support the African History Network. $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. We have this information right on the homepage of our website as well when you scroll down. Okay. And then also we have the course bundle is we have this promotion going on for a Black Friday, and it's been extended for a Black Friday promotion has been extended for a couple more days. But we have this bundle pack, 76% off. You get 2 of my online lectures, you get 2 of my online courses, 15 lectures in digital download format of mine. All it's on sale $100. It's 76% off. Okay. And we have that extended for a couple more days. So it's right on the homepage of our website. You can check that out. Just click right here to register, and you can start watching the content as well. So we have that going on for a couple more days. All right. Remember, at the African Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace.